Hello, yes, my name is Simon Ritter. I'm the Deputy CTO at Azul. Yes, I was talking about the idea of a cloud-native compiler. And what we're talking about there is with the Java virtual machine, separating out the just-in-time compilation system so that we can put that into the cloud as a service. And that can be much more efficient in terms of being able to deliver code to individual microservices especially, and reducing the amount of load that's placed on the service itself so that you can provision smaller instances for the cloud and for those services. So that was kind of the key points of what I was trying to get across. That's a good question. It's one that we do get often when we talk about this subject. Because we're passing methods across the network to the compiler and then returning the compiled code, people wonder if there isn't an issue in terms of network latency and network overhead. The reality is that that's not an issue, because so long as you locate your cloud-native compiler relatively local to where your application is running, so you wouldn't necessarily put your cloud-native compiler in Singapore and then have your application code running in Malaga, for example. If it's relatively local, then the network latency isn't an issue. And because the amount of network traffic that's involved, methods that we need to pass to the compiler and then the code that's generated and compiled back, these will be very small in terms of a very high-speed network. So if you're using gigabit networks, transferring a few kilobytes, maybe a megabyte of data is going to be almost instantaneous. So there's really no issue with network latency and overload. Yes, another very good question. And the answer to that is yes, because what we do is we essentially create a unit for the method. So we have the method that we want to compile, but then that's also combined with a set of profiling data, which allows us to have a set of speculative optimizations, as they're called. So when we pass that to the service as a compiler, we will pass not just the method, but also that profiling data. If we get the same method with a different set of profiling data, then we'll be able to return a different implementation, a different compilation for that same method. So yes, we can definitely have different compilations for the same method. I think a lot of it is about the shift to the cloud and how people are moving increasingly more and more workloads from their own data centers into the cloud. But what we're also seeing is what has been described as the cloud paradox. And that's where people are moving workloads from their own data center to the cloud and expecting it to be cheaper. What they need to do is to understand that there is more work than just lift and shift, as it's called, and thinking about how to architect their application, especially using microservices, containers, Kubernetes, those types of technologies. So all of these things, I think, are a big trend in terms of how things will change over the next year, 2 years. I've seen Jay on the Beach as a conference for several years now, and I've always thought to myself, I would really like to go to that conference. And this year, fortunately, it worked out that the dates were available, and so I submitted my session and it was accepted. So I was very happy to come to this conference. We've seen, obviously, there's lots of people at the conference. It's a wonderful venue, great rooms, and the audio visual works very well. So it's been an absolutely a very good experience. Thank you.